see in this latest video today, many Lebanese are evacuating the region in droves. Israel's prime minister with this warning that they need to get out.
Israel's war is not with you. It's with Hezbollah. For too long, Hezbollah has been using you as human shields. The IDF has warned you to get out of harm's way. I urge you, take this warning seriously.
And as you heard, more strikes could follow. We're bringing back retired Marine Colonel Brian Kennedy to go over it all. He served 2 tours in Iraq, now also serves on the Mahoney County Veterans Service Commission, and you also spent time in Israel on the ground back in the 90s, you say. So what we're hearing from Netanyahu made it pretty clear that more strikes are likely to come. He was warning people to get out. That war that broke out in Gaza almost a year ago this fall, we were talking about it here, you and I. Could this be spreading to Lebanon?
Well, sure. Things happen cyclically in the Middle East, specifically in Israel, as they prosecute targets in Gaza and also on their northern border up into Lebanon, where that's Hezbollah's terrain. This has been going on for thousands of years. So as we say, things are widening. Well, they widen temporarily, and then they go back to what we would call a status quo after the war. So after the micro war, things go back to the status quo, where they would volley some rockets back and forth, attack some targets, and then retreat back into their own sovereign territory. What's interesting is Prime Minister Netanyahu is threatening citizens of Lebanon. And he's going into another sovereign nation, and he's going into another adjacent or neighboring country, and he's prosecuting targets there, presumably with some cooperation by the Lebanese government.
And he mentioned we have a problem with Hezbollah. So describe the conflict between Israel and Hezbollah right now and why there's this conflict.
So this conflict's been, as I said, it's been going on for millennia. The issue really became when it started to ramp up significantly was in the late 1990s and the early 2000s when Hezbollah got their hands on the first what we would call a Katyusha rocket. A Katyusha rocket sounds like a Russian name because it is. It's a free-firing, free-guided rocket. There's no guidance system to it. It goes wherever it goes. When it runs out of fuel, it fires a ballistic path. Once they started to get their hands on those, Hezbollah started to launch many of them into Israel, largely through harassment to make their point that they did not agree with the Israeli state. But ultimately, since they've been firing these rockets, really what we see is every once in a while the Israelis will make an incursion into southern Lebanon, clear out Hezbollah, and then retreat back into their own national borders.
Okay. Now, the U.S. does not take the decision lightly to send troops anywhere. So what did that signal to you? Do you think that we could see more troops sent over this way? No.
These are routine deployments. Typically what you will see when troop movements are reported, they will state that the U.S. is sending more troops to the Middle East. There's currently a aircraft battle group that's moving to replace the Abraham Lincoln that's in the Arabian Sea, and that's a normal rotation. The 26th Marine Expeditionary Unit, which I was a part of, and I went into Israel twice as part of that expeditionary unit, it's on the eastern end of the Mediterranean Sea. So these are normal deployments, and if they say they're sending anything more, typically they may send something like an advisor to a U.S. Patriot missile battery to assist with counter battery firing to counter these rockets and other things that are being fired from Gaza and also from Hezbollah in Lebanon.
President Biden is giving his final address to the UN General Assembly. He said that they're going to find a diplomatic solution. That's what they want. Do you think that there is a diplomatic solution?
There can be a diplomatic solution. I think largely President Biden is favorable for a two-state solution. It will be very difficult for him to get that deal brokered prior to his end in the presidency as a lame duck president. It's going to be very difficult to do. Very few presidents have ever had success in creating peace in the Middle East. There was the Camp David Accords in the late 1970s. There was the Oslo Accord in the late 1990s. And interestingly enough, the Egyptian president was assassinated for supporting that from the Muslim or from the Middle Eastern standpoint. And Yitzhak Rabin, as the Israeli prime minister, he was assassinated for supporting the Oslo Accords. So there's lots of interest to continue this violence, even from people from their own side.
Yeah, multiple factors at play. Thank you so much for breaking it down for us, though, right here at 5.